Hi, and welcome to a new video where I talk to you about something that I do not understand. Because I thought everyone wanted peace, because it's so peaceful and nice and quiet and nice. But apparently not everyone agrees with that, because some people out here are trying to pick a fight with an entire generation.
It's time. Spooky, spooky haircut. Spooky, spooky haircut. Spooky, spooky haircut.
I'm so excited that Taylor Swift gets to be small girl with Travis Kelce because he is large boy and gets to be small girl.
As a 28-year-old toddler that spills everything.
Like that. We make lemon cake. Prepare the firebox. George wash your disgusting urban hates. Emily, zest the sour boy.
Please smile. Smile, please, come on. Oh my god, your smile is contagious.
Do you know what I found? You can't see it. Let me show you what it looks like. Do you know what this is? Oh.
One of the reasons why people don't typically let me drink coffee. And it's not because I don't like it. It's because now my husband has to deal with me all the way home and we still have another 3.5 hours left.
What even is this? Can we agree that pancakes are nice and coffee is also very nice? Like, I'm writing a zine about how much I like coffee and you can get it soon, but that's beside the point. I am very excited about it though. I am not even a millennial and I feel offended by this. Which makes sense because all Gen Z people are apparently so-called snowflakes, but we will circle back to that later. Anyways, most of the TikToks in this compilation weren't really up my alley either, but that is no reason to attack an entire generation. Like, most of these videos were just people being excited about something in a fun way, so why pick a fight over that with an entire generation again? That's insane. This fight goes both ways. Both Gen Z people and millennial people are attacking each other on the internet, and I can't really see how that makes any sense, because not everyone in a generation is the same person, so you cannot just attack the characteristics of an entire generation. There's too many people in a generation for that. I don't even think that your generation can be a character trait. Find out. Before we get started, I'm trying to put myself through art school and you can help me with that by subscribing, and I would appreciate that a lot. I'm trying to gather 1,000 people here before summer and I would love to have you on that journey with me. Now let's get started.
If I see you wearing any of these things, you're a millennial. No hard feelings, just how it is. Number 1, Spanx leggings as pants. I don't think I need to explain this one all that much, and especially when worn with ankle booties. And on that note, plaid jackets, or sort of like this entire vibe. A lot of these feel really cheap looking to me, and I just also don't like them. Number 3, round toe suede boots. They could be over the knee, like these ones, or even knee height, but there's something about these with a different color block heel that just feels very millennial to me. And along the same line, number 4, block heels with the ankle strap. And bonus points if there's some sort of bow on the toe. I know they're comfortable, but like, very millennial. And lastly, number 5, if you're wearing skinny jeans and ankle boots. And bonus millennial points if the skinny jeans are ripped. When I see this ankle, I know a millennial. And let me know if you want a part 2, I have a bunch more.
The thing that I find most interesting about this video is that the creator says no offense in the beginning, but there's something about this video that feels very condescending to me, which is offensive, so that's a little weird. It might be true that these clothing items are worn more by millennials. There's absolutely no way of objectively measuring that, but I think it does make sense that it would be the case. My theory is that people at some point stop really caring as much for trends and build a wardrobe that they're happy with because they've stopped growing, for example, and they spend their money on other things like vacations and stuff, and then they wear the things in their closet. So it would mean that those people have the things that were in trend when they were buying clothes more, are also the things they are wearing right now. But that's just my theory. But that doesn't mean that wearing ankle socks would make me a millennial, because I'm very not a millennial according to the generation thing timeline. I'm Gen Z and I love wearing ankle socks. Deal with it. It's not a bad thing. It's not something that only belongs to one generation. And it's not something to offend someone with, Because why would I be offended if someone says only millennials wear ankle socks, you shouldn't wear them? What is it even about? Also, this video is called 5 Signs That You're a Millennial. But the only signs are clothing items and not other things, just clothes. Which case in point, because your generation is not a character trait. The only real sign that you're a millennial is being born between 1981 and 1996, according to Google.
I say this with the utmost love and respect, and I myself am on the fence, okay? Go boost me on famous birthdays, Kokomoko. I kind of feel like Gen Z is obsessed with millennials, but millennials are just trying to survive, and they don't obsess over anyone. I feel so deeply for millennials that are in the thick of it, because they went from being hated on by baby boomers, people saying they're ruining the economy because they want avocado toast, straight into a job market that just came out of a recession. Okay? No ability to buy a house or anything. And now they're kind of getting their footing, they just paid off their student loans, they're just trying to survive. And then Gen Z comes up. And the moment that millennials think they're safe, Gen Z just makes so much of their entire sense of humor making fun of millennials. Millennials can't catch a break. And the funny thing is, I was just talking about this in my other video, is that Gen Z has an obsession with nostalgia and trends and Y2K and Tumblr, Warped Tour, this obsession with a time that was spearheaded by millennials. Trends now that Gen Z is obsessed with, that was the millennial blueprint. And I almost feel like it would be a fair fight if millennials were going after Gen Z, but it's kind of just a one-sided beef. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just because millennials are too busy trying to survive. And I think as Gen Z gets older, they'll understand. But millennials just kind of keep to themselves. Yeah, they have cringe humor, but at least their cringe humor is never at the expense of other people.
I don't even know what this person is trying to say here. So far, we've only indeed seen Gen Z people calling millennial people cringe, but as we'll see later, this fight is very two-sided. First of all, calling something or someone cringe is not funny. It's not the general sense of humor that Gen Z has, and people should stop doing that. If Gen Z people on the internet are calling millennials cringe, stop doing that, because it's not funny and it's not nice and it makes no sense. But also, you cannot call that the humor of an entire generation. Second of all, there is a gigantic difference between being in financial distress and being called cringe online by a few people. It's different when it's about one person. Of course, cyberbullying is bad and it happens, and again, it's hard and it's bad. But when someone calls an entire gigantic group of people that are very different people also cringe, that's not even up there with financial distress. This millennials have it so bad, Gen Z people don't get it and they can't catch a break thing is kind of funny to me, because Gen Z people also have a hard time buying houses and paying their student loans, and arguably have it harder, especially in the Netherlands where I live. Most of these videos are American, and I'm not quite sure how much harder it's there, but here the system of getting student debt has changed a lot in a very negative way for students right now. So it's a lot harder here, and I assume that because of inflation, it's also harder in America. That's besides the point. It's not a fight of who has it harder, but you can't just say, oh, millennials can't catch a break and Gen Z has it so easy. That's absolutely not the case and not based in anything. Can't we help each other make the world a better place? It feels like we need that. Why do we fight about this? Well, of course, it's because Gen Z is lazy and does not want to work. It's kind of the general consensus right now that Gen Z doesn't want to work and that there won't be any consequences if Gen Z just tries to work harder. This is the general attack from older generations on Gen Z, including millennials, and while this video might have been satire, I have seen serious videos about this. Like this one.
Right now, you just won't hire Gen Z employees.
No, we don't. It's been a nightmare with 95% of the ones that we have hired. I once terminated an employee, and her father called me 24 hours later asking how he could help get his daughter's job back. I'd never heard of that before. When I've lost my job, I didn't tell my parents to go call for me.
65% of employers say they have fired a Gen Z employee, and 50% of them say they fired them real recently. Have you had to get rid of Gen Z employees?
Absolutely. And one of the reasons is social media. It's hard to do your job and work if you're on Instagram all day. You have to actually put your phone down and do some work.
But what do you do about the tremors and seizures if they put their phone down? Don't they start shaking?
Right. You got to have good insurance, but
Yeah.
yes, it's a problem.
You actually walked in to a new Gen Z hire that'd been there like a week, and they had their feet up on the desk.
I walked into their office and sort of, jumped back a little bit because literally her feet were kicked up on the desk. She had brought in her coffee maker in the bag, had like a little blanket. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a law firm. And so what are we doing?
And again, first of all, not all Gen Z people are like this. I would never ask my parents to call my employer if I have serious or any issues at work, really. I would talk to them to get some advice and to just talk it over a little bit, but I am an adult and I can solve my own problems. Anyhow, we do need to dive a little deeper in this because it can't be that the attack of Gen Z people on millennials is their clothes are cringe and pancakes are cringe for some reason, and the answer of the millennials are Gen Z is lazy and doesn't want to work, right? It was actually really hard to find something not work related. And I feel like this is still work related in a way, but more in a general way.
I think I need a hug because of my anxious attachment style. Want to go to the movies? My mother never loved me. My ADHD's acting up. Can you play something 154 beats per minute? I'm not being mean, I just miss social cues.
Of course, there are people who go over the top and trauma dump without asking, but not everyone does that, and I feel like the issue is more that apparently we try, or Gen Z tries too hard to take care of their mental health, but I can't see anything wrong with trying to take care of your mental health. Like, maybe it's a good thing that it's becoming more acceptable to talk about your feelings instead of ignoring them and acting like a robot. It's one of those things like eating pancakes that you just shouldn't call cringe. I thought it would be fair to try and find some more critiques of Gen Z about millennials, but that was also really hard. Well, there is the parenting thing.
Millennial parents are the worst parents I've ever seen in my entire life. Recently, I went on a trip to see family for Thanksgiving, right? And where I was, there was a mall, and in the mall was a store called Spencer's. Now, I actually got my shirt from Spencer's. They make pretty hard shirts, but they're not known famously for their shirts. They're known as a store that caters to the needs of adults sexually, right? So I'm in the store looking around at the shirts and all the other stuff they got. In comes this woman with her child. Looks like a 6, maybe 7-year-old boy, right? For one, that boy should have never even been in that store because, again, that store is for adults only. But that woman let her child walk through there, and her child ended up picking a toy. It was definitely not a kid toy, and the woman thought it was so funny and so cute to where she pulls her phone out to take a picture, and she even had the nerve to put the flash on so everybody in the store could see it. So I guess she's taking a few pictures. She also is taking some video of it, thinking it's funny. And after a while, she's done with the pictures and video. Her son throws the toy down on the ground, and then they just take off out the store. Some of you parents have got to do better. Like, people begin to wonder why kids are going in schools, reciting inappropriate song lyrics, ski and pound town, and all this other stuff. That's why, because you parents will just let your kids do whatever. And guess what? When that little boy turns 13, 14, 15, and he's getting into all kinds of trouble acting crazy, that mother's going to be wondering why. That's on you, man. So you parents have got to do better. Stop being your kid's friend. Stop letting your kid do whatever. Stop letting your kid go wherever. Stop letting your kid listen to whatever. Do better because so many kids nowadays are out of control, and it's because of y'all.
I find this a really hard one because I get that parenting is really hard, especially with trying to figure out technology, because parents right now are kind of the first generations of learning to deal with this more, especially with AI and stuff, at schools now using computers instead of books. And I also don't believe that all or even most of millennial parents are bad parents. But there's also this recent discourse about Gen Alpha being absolute abominations in schools, and that is really bad. I do feel like this is more serious than the clothes thing. I thought I would be able to finish this video by just saying the Gen Z versus millennial fight is annoying and senseless and just stop this, but it goes a little deeper than that. First of all, times change and generations are time bound, if anything. It's normal. I don't like that word. It makes sense that the generations are different and have different values because people react to the things that happen around them. For example, the 40-hour work week is based on just one person working in a family of two adults. The other person would be doing the housework, so the person that was working wouldn't have to do any of that once they came home from work. Then emancipation came along and it became more socially acceptable for women to work, and women were finally able to get an education and be independent. And now everything is so expensive that you cannot even get a house on a single income for a lot of people anymore. Even worse, if you live alone, you have to work 40 hours to even hope that you can have a roof over your head and food on the table. And when you have worked 40 hours in that week, you come home and you also need to cook for yourself, clean, do the dishes, do your laundry, everything. And in this time, you're also just really privileged if you can manage all of that, which is weird. So, because of progress in time, a lot of younger people get burned out and they don't want that anymore. They see that and they go like, no thanks, not for me. Those people, who are mostly Gen Z, aka snowflakes, go home at 5 and don't reply to work emails on their own time. This is not a bad thing. In the long run, it would be way better if there were a lot less hot-headed, stressed people running around. Some countries and companies have already implemented a 4-day work week, and in France, I believe, it's even illegal to contact employees outside of work hours. And research has shown that this works for people. So Gen Z people are not lazy and don't want to work, they just also want to live their life, which I find perfectly reasonable. This is not the fault of emancipation, of course. I feel like it would have happened anyway with inflation and the people that have power in this world. Emancipation is a good thing. How Gen Z is doing in the workplace is a reaction to millennials complaining about their work-life balance. So it doesn't make any sense that some millennials are launching an attack on Gen Z people over this. Luckily, a lot of millennial people on the internet have also made videos to show that they actually support this 9 to 5 mentality movement. So that's a great thing. This fight on the internet between Gen Z and millennials is just made by a very few people, which leads me to my second point in this conclusion. This fight is not real. Hot take, I know, let me explain. There's only a very small amount of people actively in this fight on the internet. I've never seen anyone in real life say that they don't like the other generation, and I've met people of either generation. There are also a lot more people reacting to what other people have said about their generation than people actually insulting the other generation. So, even though the insults don't make any sense, the reactions to these insults are the thing that makes this fight actually exist. And lastly, your generation is not part of your DNA or your culture. Sure, culture is partially time bound, but a lot of culture is made up of the history of said culture, and your generation does not really have a history. So instead of picking a fight about which generation is better or has it harder, we can better stop fighting and start working together to make this world a better place. And before you say anything, I know I was kind of defensive about the work thing, but I feel like that's another issue and I needed to say something about it. Like, people are making this part of this fight, but also it is a real issue and it has been for years. It's way bigger than just Gen Z, because again, it's a reaction to millennials complaining about their work-life balance. So it's also their problem, and they also will have to work for many more years. So let's work together on this. So yes, I needed to explain why that is an unfair insult powered by the older CEOs of rich companies. Humans are so intriguing. Like, why are we even picking a fight over this? Is it even a thing? Generations? The entire generations thing is weird. Anyway, if you like my little video, please press that wonderful shiny like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. And then I will see you next time. Ciao!